The forward hatch saga is coming to a close. I've just finished masking the whole thing, and basically I'm going to mask. Now those composite angles are already tabbed, and where I can, I'm going to tab from the deck down wherever I can reach it, but remembering these composite angles are going to be totally smeared in epoxy to glue onto the deck. But you can see all the compartments here are now masked and ready to go. The one thing I haven't done is the anchor hatch. I'm going to leave that till tomorrow, but basically we're going to flow coat out wherever it's masked, and that's going to basically complete these compartments. They're all smooth, they're all sanded out, and I've just acetone wiped them all and cleaned them out, so I'm pretty happy. The one area of detail I really need to consider is the drain. So those drains need to be really smooth and probably need a bit of subsequent sanding later on, because I don't want anything catching there, particularly any dirt or anything. Whatever goes in there needs to drip out. But yeah, that's looking really good. I'm really happy to have had that done, and we're going to get flow coating. It's going to be a really difficult process. What we're planning to do is we're going to do this one. We're going to do this one, and we're going to do the third one, and then when they're set, we'll come back and do this one and the end one, because we need one of us on each side of it to make sure that we're stripe coating with the brush and rolling at the same time to make sure we get good coverage. I don't want to have to redo these if I can help it. Probably have to do a couple of touch-ups, but certainly we don't want to be doing it any more than we need to up in this front compartment. This is bloody hard work. Ready to go? Get deep undercover.
Cool.
Which way are you going? Where are you going? Are you going?
The other way.
This is Janet's second only time in the hole. No, in the hole. Talk about the hole over in here. I got her in about half an hour ago to acclimatise her to the situation, and she goes, "It's not that bad in here." I said, "Yeah, but you're like half my size." So the easiest way in is through the wardrobe and then across. I find the easiest way in through the hatches, but Janet's so small she can sort of squeeze in. Brand new suit will have holes in it by the time we're done here, I'll tell you now. Won't have paint all over you and in your hair, hopefully. Get in there. So Janet needs to be in this one here, with which to be able to flow coat out this one. You got gloves? Yeah? You forgot your gloves, didn't you?
No. Right.
You're going into the next one.
Oh, I can reach them, can't I?
There you go. This has got knee pads on it, that suit, hasn't it?
Yeah.
They're not very good. They're not the right place. They're designed for people with knees up around their bloody groins. Cool, that's it.
Well done.
Check that out. Oh, something's finished, honey. Almost finished. Right, well, the reason why I've done this is because I'm not going to be able to do as good a job as that through the hatch. So wherever I can reach now, I'll be able to tab. What I do need to do though is pull the masking tape off. That's going to be fun. How you doing? Come up this side, Don. You good? Can you see that?
Yeah.
That here? Don't touch it. What do you reckon? Done. Well, I'm going to clean you up before you take it off, okay?
Yeah, okay.
You got resin in your hair.
It just pops off if you're there.
Well done. Alright. Too hot? Have a look at that. Let's show us your sweat. Look at the sweat. It's like 25 degrees. It's like 35 up there when you're working it. It is brutal.
Well, it's better than it would have been this afternoon.
I've got cuts all over me from that job. That was a shocker, that one. Yeah, done. Got my list here. Someone's getting very organised here, and it's all because of the lady behind the camera. But this list has been brilliant for me because I've got 4 days now, 4.5 days before we drop the deck, and this is the list of stuff that has to be done. And I'm gradually working through it, and it includes things like sanding out the front compartments, flow coating them. So I'm happy to report we've done 2 this afternoon. We're going to come back after, we're going to go into town to get some tools and whatever. We're going to come back when it's a bit cooler and do the other 2 because we can't sit in the ones that are done just yet until they set, which will be sometime late this afternoon. I'll be in there with my socks on. Yeah, because we've already done 2 and
4. So we're doing 3
I've done 2 and 4, so you're right, so we're doing 3 and 1. Okay, so we're ticking stuff off here. And the plastic lining the compartments, we'll be doing them a bit later on, so that when we drop the deck down, we don't get any oozing of epoxy down onto our fresh flow coat, because we'd never be able to get that off without sanding it. We've also done the anchor, the engine battery shelves. They're now in, and we haven't got to flow coating the anchor compartment yet. I'll do that tomorrow. But this list has been just invaluable. It was handwritten, and Janet went home and typed it up, and it's so good because I can just tick it off and I can see the progress. This is the key to being happy, I think. Being able to tick off a list. My dad would have been proud because he was a real list maker.
And also having a look over here to see it flow coated.
Yeah, 2 flow coated hatches. Look at that. All right, 2 and 4, yeah, and then we're going to come back and do 1 and 3,
yeah.
And then we've got to get working on the ones on the outside because we simply can't get in them when the lid's down. But yeah, totally brilliant.
I reckon the other way that I watched come in would have been so much easier.
Oh, that's cool. You're in. You ready?
Yeah.
You putting masks on?
Yeah, we're putting masks on.
Okay.
Going in.
Head first towards that clamp. Head first towards that clamp.
I don't think that works for me.
Yeah, it does, because you get your leg over.
Yeah, but then I'm going to get covered in grease on this post.
No, you won't. Just got to squeeze your leg in. If I can fit, I'm sure you can. Well done.
Yeah, but yours are taller than mine.
Look at that. Oh, 3 compartments done. Well done, honey. Awesome effort. All right, let's get organised and do another one. Oh, well, what does that look like, eh? Does that look good? Don't you reckon?
Yeah, it looks great.
I won't turn the camera around because Janet's now naked. Oh,
If anyone wants to see me like
you're not quite naked, but it's looking pretty good, I reckon. All right, compartment 1. 2, 3, and 4. That's bloody exciting. Bloody exciting. Got your gear on? Oh, it's got a top back on. Awesome. Right, so that's looking pretty good. Now, I've gone for a bit of a textured finish. Now, if in a couple of days I decide I need a bit more, I can always give it a sand. I won't worry about the walls, but certainly the hard-wearing surface of the floor, I think it's pretty much going to handle whatever we throw at it. We're just not going to chuck anything heavy in there that's going to damage it, but more likely sails, fenders, ropes, lines, etc. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. So tomorrow I'm going to come in and I'm going to tab the underside of the anchor shelf, and then tomorrow afternoon I'm going to flow coat that out. Right, Jan, so we've made up some cardboard covers. The minute we start filming, the rattle gun starts. We've made up some cardboard covers for the flow coated regions up the front, because I don't want to taint them with any sort of resin or epoxies or anything. So they're all very different shapes. So I'm going to pass them up to Jan. Fingers. Oh, we then. Probably would have been better without the flaps.
Yeah, oh.
I can always cut them off.
It's almost out. I just don't want to ruin this.
You won't ruin that. Just punt it down.
I don't have the strength.
Yes, you do. I bet you've almost had enough beating too.
I'm fine. I'm just laughing at you. Bit effing this and a bit of it.
I didn't F word.
Oh,
not often though. Sorry, honey. Nothing's ever easy. This is my new boat building method, CAD, cardboard aided design. We could call it JAD, Janet aided design.
you're an idiot.
JAD, CAD, JAD. Did you just hit your head? How many times have you done that today? I had a gutful.
Alright.
Oh, that was hot work. I'm going to go home and have some lunch because I'm sweating, and even Janet's sweating. Janet's probably got a sweat out today. It's 32 outside.
Oh, I really sound like I never do.
She doesn't. She doesn't. Yeah, she does. Works hard, this one. But we're going to go home and have some lunch. Come back. I'm going to tab in the supports for my windlass shelf. And then I'm going to go home and I'm going to go for a swim, because that's an important daily regime at this time of year when it's so hot. And then I'm going to come back, and Janet and I are going to tonight flow coat that hatch and flow coat that hatch, and then I can pretty much call this whole section finished to the point that the deck can go down. And then after that, yeah, there's a lot more to do tomorrow and Friday, because joining day is Saturday and it's Wednesday today. My cave diving missions into the bow are coming to an end. I used to enjoy a bit of cave diving when I was younger, but this has tested me, because firstly, you're not weightless, and I never have been, and secondly, everything's razor sharp. So I'm basically sick and tired of tearing myself to pieces. I've got cuts on every part of my body. I'm going to flow coat out the windlass hatch. I'm so excited about that. Yesterday, I installed a couple of support brackets on the side, like gussets on the side of the shelf, and there'll be another one in the center, which will probably be a stainless steel bar that'll actually then support the windlass. I think I've got more than adequate support. I've checked out a couple of other boats. Really important when you're masking stuff up, particularly if you're going to fiberglass, is you need to leave a margin here for tabbing. This deck here is going to be tabbed to this shelf down here, and that's really important that you don't put flow coat on there, because you're just going to have to sand it off. No point in wasting good flow coat, because you're going to be doing it again. Once it's all tabbed and completed, I'll then have access through the hatch. I'll be able to flow coat it and hopefully blend it in with the existing flow coat that I've already done. It's not often you have a disappointing result. That is a disappointing result. We've done compartments here twice as big as this with no failure. Admittedly, there was two of us. Today, sadly, is I have no idea what it is in here. It's probably close to 35 maybe. Yeah, I've got a bit of a fan blowing on me, but one thing that you must consider is it's not only the air temperature and the humidity, it's the temperature of the substrate. This boat feels around about 25 degrees at the moment, just to the touch. So you get ambient temperature plus the substrate temperature is such an important feature to recognise when you're doing things like laminating and flow coating. It's no good just taking an ambient temperature with a thermometer. You really need to consider what the temperature of that is, and I should have taken a measurement on that and basically dropped the catalyst a little bit. I did catalyse about 1.8% probably, pretty close, and yeah, I got like 6 minutes of working time there. Not enough, and it is going off. In fact, it's already dry to touch, you know, and it's 5 minutes later. So in about an hour, I'll come back and give this a light sand and give it a subsequent coat. The problem I've got is there's wax on the top of the surface. So if this was gel coat, I'd be able to simply recoat it, you know, without having to treat it. But I do need to sand it. There's going to be a lot of wear and tear inside this box. And having said that, I'm not that disappointed about that. I've got a good coat on now. Quick sand, pretty much come in and do the second one, you know, reasonably quickly, and then, you know, job done. But it is a lesson learned, and also I'm confined and I'm hot already and I'm frustrated. And sometimes when you're frustrated like this, you're not going to do as good a job as you probably could otherwise. Well, I'm paying for my sins here. I've just sanded out the chain locker. But this is the thing with flow coat, it is not self-leveling. You're never going to get a smooth surface. But there is still an element of wax on here that will prohibit the next layer from bonding to it because it's an external product. So I need to acetone wipe this to strip the wax, and then should be able to then apply the next coat of flow coat. It's just so vital that you do strip that wax, because if you don't, you're going to end up with it flaking and all sorts of mess. And the last thing you want to have to do is to have to pull all your chain out and reflow coat your hatch with all your chain out on the dock somewhere, just because you couldn't be asked doing it properly in the first place. But yeah, that's looking pretty good now. That's ready for a good stripping with some acetone. I hate using it because it does actually dissolve it, but what it will do is it'll make it all tacky again and return it to the gel coat that it once was before the wax was added. That is how you flow coat a hatch. And you see here the pillars that are supporting the shelf. There'll be another one in the center here, but I've got to get the mechanism in here, the windlass and the roller that's going to be required to bring the chain up and through the gypsy to go down in, and that's really important to get that. But that is now done. We're all flow coated out and ready to go. Right, I'm up in the forepeak here. This area has got a small area of storage here and quite a deep one. It's probably 4 foot deep, I'd imagine. I'm about to flow coat this out. I've just given it a good sand. Now, you'll notice where I've flow coated other areas, you can actually see the edge texture in the tabbing, and I'll show you that in a moment. But I like to be able to see that even though we're flow coating over. I mean, my builder once said to me, good painting hides good bad workmanship. So I'm aiming to be able to see all of where my tabbing is tabbed to the hull and deck, and that's one of the reasons why I'll leave a slight exposed edge here for these areas here. I want to be able to see any cracking in the future and really be able to make sure that I can notice it and rectify it quite quickly. If we hide it, put 4 or 5 layers of flow coat on here, we're not going to be able to see that tabbing, and really important. But this is quite a small area here. Not sure how Janet and I are going to flow coat this, because I'm going to have Janet in that compartment there and me leaning over, and it's quite deep, so I'll probably cut myself to pieces on this composite angle once again. But we're going to get this whole area done in one hit. I'm going to mask it again and allow for tabbing at a later date. All right, we come back, it's nearly 6:30 and I've got Ellen's boyfriend Zach. here to give me a hand. He's a bit smaller than I am, so I'm going to squeeze him in the front hatch.
Yeah.
Zach actually does a lot of boat work, marine diesel mechanic, and does a lot of flow coating and stuff, so he's the right guy. We just went for a swim and he offered to do it, and Janet went, I'll take that opportunity.
Yeah.
So let's do it, mate,
Let's do it. Okay.
Okay. I'm going to pour it on this face here.
Yeah.
And give you something to work with.
Cool.
Get to work. Good lad, mate. This is awesome. You filming?
Yeah, filming.
Drain down in here somewhere because this is a bow locker. Oh. So what we've masked here is so I can tab from there all the way down. So that'll have like 12 layers of glass on the tabbing when it's finished. And that split that I put in is already repaired. So this will end up getting tabbed all the way around. So the whole boat will be tabbed and seamed. Man, that looks so good, Zach.
Awesome.
Well done, brother. Well done.
Awesome.
Rinse and repeat. Righto, over in the port side here. Whew. Zach's in his spot. What's the story with this one, mate?
This one is going to be a little bit more tricky just because this is so much wider here, so just getting right down the front's just going to be
I think it's about 20 centimetres deeper. That's because I've allowed for the medicine cabinet here in the head. So we're going to need a little bit more resin probably as well.
Yeah. We'll get it done, but it might be a bit more tricky.
I could be laying on top of that to get across. Anyway, we'll work it out.
Figure it out. So if I can grab that, I'm going to pull that down the front.
Yeah, just pour about a quarter of it.
Yeah.
Flow-coated out the chain locker, and it dawned on me, and I've been thinking about this for some time, that I hadn't put a conduit in to get wires across on the forward face of this bulkhead to the windlass. Now I can secrete them along the top of this bulkhead on the inside in the cabin, which would be sort of makes sense because I can actually get to it easily by removing some lining off the walls. The only issue with that is that I don't want to be pulling apart a bedroom to get to wiring should I ever need to replace it. So I do have this wardrobe here, and this robe has a conduit already positioned here that's coming through the bulkhead and into this robe here, which is always nice to be able to work in a robe rather than have to tear a bedroom apart. And what I'm anticipating is putting a conduit through here, and that can be linked up with the one below. It's all the way through there, across through the bulkheads and to the windlass shelf. Now that deals with this wiring in a conduit or in a protected environment. Even though the front hatches technically could get wet, this conduit will carry uninterrupted from here through the three bulkheads and into the windlass hatch. And the nice thing about that is that if I ever need to replace it, I can simply strip it out this way into the wardrobe without affecting this cabin here, so I don't have to make a bed or whatever. Now electrical for lights and things can run along this here because they can be hidden in behind the lining for the lights and the like in this area here, and certainly along the back of this bulkhead as well. But something the size of a windlass cable, which is about the thickness of my thumb, those cables really do need to have their own place, and it has to be a straight run. I'm not going to be able to bend this at all, so I can straight run it through there and then work out through some sort of cable trunking along this wall here how to get it down into this one here. The other problem I have is that to get a length this long all the way through to the windlass, which is right over there. It's just penetrating the windlass or the chain locker there. I simply can't get it in because I've got all boxed in sections. So today is the day I can do it, because I've still got the deck lifted. I don't have to try and feed it in afterwards or put in sections and join them, and I'd rather have one continuous length. Now, very importantly, I'm going to be drilling holes in the bottom of this to allow for any condensation to drip into the hatch and obviously out to sea. But what I can do here at 170 millimeters down from the top will get it just underneath my anchor locker windlass shelf. I now have the conduit in place over here. You can see it over there, passing through from the robe all the way to the anchor hatch or the chain locker. And so I'm going to now epoxy that in with this Techniglue and just hold it in place. It's not going to need any further work because basically it's going to be watertight sealed with the epoxy around the holes. I'll just get that put in place, and then all I have to do then before we join this thing down is to come back tomorrow and give this all a light clean and a bit of a sand just on the tops of this to make sure that there are no impurities. I'm going to do a massive clean up here tomorrow. Janet and I are going to be in here getting rid of all this crap. Everything's going to leave the boat other than what we need for the joining exercise on Saturday morning. So the time is ticking away and we're basically ready to join it. I don't have a choice. Once this goes down, everything has to be out of here. The cardboard I can cut up and rip up through the hatch later on, and I'm going to leave that there just to obviously protect the flow coat that I've got in there until such time as I'll finish the boat.